Welcome to the Abyssinian Syllabary, where we spell out Ethiopia in 33 characters. I'm Yves-Marie Stranger, your host and the compiler of these Abyssinian lives. Nota bene, while any resemblance to actual countries, past or present, and to historical figures is not purely coincidental, this is a work of fiction. For a primer on these Ethiopian characters, newcomers may start with the prologue by Manuel de Goes. To order the book or a poster of the Abyssinian Syllabary, visit Ethiopia.com. That's UTHIOPIA.com. One should cultivate one's teff field and nothing more, Jacob said to Berde. They had been trudging along for 18 days on the road to Lalibela, as they wished to celebrate Timkat in the holy town. Berde did not dare contradict his master. He well knew that teff grows very nicely indeed in the Zege Peninsula, from where they harked. They still had 7 days of journeying ahead, and Berde, who wanted nothing more himself than to nibble at his injera in peace, swallowed his recriminations. The Apocrypha of Jacob. You shall be the ruler of a modern kingdom, his father, the Emperor Theodoros, tells him. There will be printed books on all matters, and many a work bearing on my own splendid rule, Theodoros recounts to his son, who nods his shaven head. Alemayehu is a child of 6, that is to say, a boy on the threshold of manhood. Your subjects will travel from north to south along railroads, and there will be mills to cast and roll all things of steel in this kingdom. There shall be imposing palaces for yourself, as well as for the children of your children, and their offspring too. Alemayehu, heir of Emperor Theodoros II, the bearer of discord, lies fast asleep, buried inside the diwan of black lion pelts which his father has a liking for. Fill your lungs with their stench, O my boy, Theodoros enjoins his slumbering son, for this is the heady smell that wafts over the throne. Tonight, on the rocky outcrop of Magdala, what one can hear is not the roaring of Abyssinian lions, but the mirth of the Anglo-Indian troops of Lord Napier billeted at the foot of the Table Mountain. And tomorrow it is the blood of Prince Alemayehu's father that shall be spilt by his own hand, with a bullet fired from a pistol bearing on its cross the inscription, To King Theodore, Lord Suzerain of Abyssinia, dear friend and ally. It is a handgun delivered to the monarch by Captain Speedy, Victoria's envoy, Theodoros's boon companion when the going was good. But of all this, the commotion and the smoke, and the emperor lying in a pool of his own blood, the little prince shall see nothing, swaddled up in his lion hides and guarded by 2 Shankala slave soldiers. They forbid any person from approaching, and especially any Ethiopian. The emperor, feared for his fits of paranoia, only assuaged by spates of violence. In this is right, for he no longer has any friends, Theodoros. His fair weather vassals have melted away like hailstones lying on the desert floor. All will want to see his blood suffocated in his blood. First, the kings of the realm, then the petty lords, and even his winged chieftains of the right and of the left, his Dezjazmach, his Kenjazmach, and his Fitauri. They have all disowned him, one by one, and all know in Abyssinia that to suckle a lion cub today is to feed milk to a kitten who will surely tear you apart tomorrow. There is one exception to Theodoros's order. If a Frank, an Englishman, were to approach, the guards are to hand over the pungent bundle in which the crown prince lies snuggled up. Even today, Theodoros would rather place his trust in an Englishman than in his own liegemen. It is the privates, Maguire and Bergen, who burst through the last line of defence, emerging nearly immediately onto the mountain's plateau. The Abyssinians bait a hasty retreat for they are warriors, not soldiers, and they have no tactics. One charges forward, and may the better man win. And if it so transpires on that day that that better man is not yourself, it is each man for himself, so that he may live to fight another day. One warrior alone, of gaunt face, and with lips as thin as the braids he shakes about his head, presses forward, letting forth volleys of bullets that lose themselves in the skies before retreating behind a haystack. One last shot detonates, and Maguire, Bergen, and Henry Stanley discover him as he lies choking on his own blood. It is only 20 minutes later when, as the first bars of Rule Britannia rise from the regiment's marching band, that a fearful slave shouts out the news in a quivering voice, a wail that reverberates throughout the land. Todros, 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 the king is dead. Captain Speedy presses forward as the news tumbles down the mountain. The king is dead. Where is the king? Alemayehu is 10 years old. One discerns him, supercilious, on the daguerreotype, as it is to be expected from an Abyssinian prince. Yet, pulling at the corner of his mouth, there is a smile, and, if need be, a spark in his eye comes to confirm that this prince has nothing of his father's sorrowful mood. For Alemayehu is, at heart, a good-natured child. Can a father's blood be staunched? Captain Speedy, Basha Feleka, Captain Swift, as Theodoros himself likes to call Speedy when the captain first travelled to the Abyssinian court on a diplomatic mission during the emperor's halcyon years, before the gory antics of Gondar, in which the king put to the sword every monk in that town, before torching their churches, before he began to cut down peasants for ever more futile reasons, and made of his own countrymen the implacable enemies of his grandiose designs. Basha Feleka, of a gay disposition himself, loved this forceful and modernizing emperor. They pursued hippopotami on Lake Tana the length of the day on board Reed Tonquois, before chugging brilli of mead in front of the emperor's tent of white cloth. Here, under the fig trees full of squawking hornbill, they plotted the destinations of the next train lines, the layout of warehouses, and proceeded to erect shiny cities on every hilltop. And this is why, when Basha Feleka discovers the slain emperor on the heights of the Amba Magdala, he makes haste, entering every hut till he finds the two Benishangul. Edging forward, Speedy wordlessly signals the bolt of hides they guard, a packet which is immediately his. The child is wild, yet comes round. Speedy, for it is his real name, and he is indeed a captain, has a love of disguise and of photography. He likes to dress up in native garb. The Abyssinian prince Alemayehu and the English captain while away their time on the steamboat, playing hide-and-seek and in learning English words. The child is swift himself. Reaching Port Said, he says, "Yes, sir," "No, sir," and "Of course, milady," with a bow. He looks neat in the uniform that the regiment tailor has cut from military cloth for him. Speedy, conversant in Amharic, reassures the prince, sings him lullabies to put him to sleep. He tells them where they are sailing to, and what they are to see, that they must be en route to Speedy's country, a land where one travels from north to south by railroad. Alemayehu will attend a boarding school in which he will learn all there is to know for a modern gentleman, and, who knows, a future monarch. And it is by train that they make for London from the port of Southampton. The Crown Prince is in command of his English now. He is introduced to Victoria during a levee of the Prince of Wales. The sensible queen, not much known for her sentimentality, cannot take her eyes off this sweet-natured prince. His heart is as white as the lily, declares the monarch, and as she makes of Captain Speedy the boy's guardian and tutor, she expressly requests that the boy be brought to court, and often. Alemayehu goes to school. He plays rugby and cricket too. He is a favourite of the Queen, and indulged at court, where he makes horns at the lords of the realm. And, indeed, he has discarded nothing of his naughtiness, nor does he seem to eat his heart out on the unlikely series of events that have led him, a prince of Ethiopia, born atop a fortress of natural stone, the scion of an enlightened potentate, to this land of chimney stacks and green lawns. A weakness of the lungs, the doctors pronounce. It is said that Victoria shed many tears upon the death of this prince, whom she liked so, and whose father's life had been snuffed out by means of her gift. We do not know what Alemayehu thought when the black curtain came down in front of his eyes like a pelt, bundling him off forever into the darkness. He was 18 years of age, the prince, whose portentous name signified, "I have seen the world."